Hi dolls, welcome back to my channel. We've got a wee bit of an upgrade on the quality of my video right now. I got a new camera, so I'm testing it out, testing the waters with it, training myself on a new editing software. My phone storage, as much as this phone has been amazing with recording, the storage can only last so long, and sometimes when I'm trying to edit and save the videos it says there's no more storage left, even though there is, which is really frustrating. So I've just decided to upgrade to a camera, and I don't know if you can notice if the quality is a wee bit better. I think it certainly is, definitely a lot better than the iPhone, so hopefully this will improve YouTube a little bit. I also got a new haircut. I don't know if you noticed, I decided to get a wee fringe cut in. She's very cute. I think she's cute. Today I'm going to do a video on some helpful tips and advice for those that are thinking about travelling over for an abroad rave. I have been to quite a few now, especially the ones in the Netherlands. Basically just the one in the Netherlands, to be honest. Tips for travelling to there. If you're into your hardstyle, hard dance, techno, then the Netherlands is definitely the place to be for that kind of scene, especially with hardstyle. But I've been getting a lot of comments on my TikTok videos and a lot of Instagram DMs of people asking me what the process is for booking these events, how much they are, how to do it, what's the best advice, like is there anything I need to know. And I just thought I would make a video about it because there seems to be quite a common interest here. So I'm going to give you 10 helpful tips for when you're thinking of going to an abroad rave or booking an abroad rave, and definitely some advice that will make you feel more confident in going. So the first helpful tip that I will say to you is to be prepared. This seems pretty obvious, but a lot of people, believe it or not, are so unprepared when they do go to these events. So by being prepared, I mean have your ticket, your accommodation, everything all booked beforehand, looking on Google Maps to see how far away your accommodation is from the rave or the festival. You might not even need to book a separate accommodation if you're staying at a festival, but if you're doing a one-night rave, you might want to look into what hostels and hotels are nearby, how far away the airport is from your accommodation, what kind of transport you're going to need to get. And let me tell you, Google Maps is your best friend. Google Maps was my best friend. People always ask me, how do I get to and from the hotel? How do I get to the festival? What trains do I get? What stops do I get off at? And honestly, Google Maps, when I arrive in the airport, I just type in my location and where I want to get to, and then click the public transport option, trains, and it tells me step by step on what to do, how many stops, what stop to get off at, what train, what platform, what bus. I know it's a bit daunting when you're first going, you don't use public transport, but trust me, it's so easy. Google it and you just kind of have to throw yourself into the deep end. You kind of just have to suck it up. Like, that's the best way I can describe it. You just need to suck it up and book it. Go on Google Maps, look at all the distance to and from. When you're booking your flights as well, you need to organise the flight times correctly and see if they line up with your event. If you're flying out a day early or the day of, you need to be really organised in this respect and figure out how much travelling time it's going to take you to get from the airport to the actual event. That's something to think about. And when you do arrive at the airport, say you're flying into Amsterdam, don't just expect to already be at the festival. You know, some of these festivals, especially if it's a weekend festival, they are in the middle of nowhere. They take an hour to get to, and some of them can be really hard to get to. So definitely look into getting shuttle buses. Some of that information can be on the actual festival site of where you're going. I know that when we did Intense Festival, there was a section for shuttle buses from basically a train station to the actual festival site. So look into that, join some group Facebook pages because they are so useful for information. High chances are that people in those group pages have been many times before, probably from your country, so definitely look into that. Tip number 2 is definitely sorting out all of your documents before you go, and by documents I mean passport, travel insurance, your visa if that's needed. I know that for Glasgow in Scotland, if you're listening guys and you're going to these events in 2023, we need it's not a visa in particular, but it's like a certificate telling you where you're to enter the Netherlands anyway. It's a certificate to say basically like a visa, and it only costs like a £5, I think. So you'll have to look into that. You have to look on the government guidance on what you need to travel into the country. We were actually flying with a guy. We were going to Fatality in 2019 and we were flying from Edinburgh, and obviously it takes us an hour to drive there. So the guy drove there, and when we got to Edinburgh, he left his passport at home. So please do not be like that guy. He ended up missing out on the rave. He didn't drive back to get it. He just kind of accepted his fate, and that must have been the worst feeling ever. So please remember your passport, and please remember that your passport is in date, and make sure you're checking your passport at least 6 months before you go, because sometimes passports can take ages for them to arrive, and you might have to pay like £500 for an emergency passport for getting on your flight. And that's happened to quite a lot of people I know, and it's just one of these simple things that can really fuck up your holiday. And of course, travel insurance. Now, I need to take some of my own advice, because every single festival that I've been to in the Netherlands this year, I have travelled without travel insurance, and it is genuinely because I forgot. And you think to yourself, well, what can go wrong? I'm only there for a weekend. Well, you're drinking alcohol, you're with your friends, and you're very highly influenced from your friends. I spilled a kettle of boiling water on my leg at Decibel trying to make pot noodles, and I was terrified to go to the medic in case they charged me. But they didn't. They took my name, and I was like, oh shit, this is when I get charged like £1,000 for getting a bandage wrapped around my leg. But you know what? Better safe than sorry, and they didn't charge me. It was free. Thank God. But yeah, don't be like me. Get your travel insurance. It's literally like £7 on a good deal. Go and compare the market and look at the different travel insurances, because you never know, you might just break your leg, and if you break your leg, you cannot get on the flight home. You'll have to go into hospital. So don't be like me. My third biggest tip is definitely sorting out your financial money situation. How much money you're going to bring, how much you're willing to spend, and with however much you're willing to spend, add on another 200 on top of that just in case. I wouldn't advise taking €400 in cash. In fact, I wouldn't even advise taking cash at all, because everywhere in the Netherlands now is basically cashless, especially if you're using trains and buses. Buying tickets is basically all contactless. Even at the festivals now, I think after COVID, they've been pretty much geared up to be completely cashless, although at the bigger events, especially Def Con, Decibel, most likely, they will handle cash. But when I went to Capital at the start of the year, it was a completely cashless event, and I had a big wad of €400 in cash. So that was my lesson learned. So I would really just use card only. And not just any card, I would highly recommend Monzo. Monzo is essentially another banking provider, a bit like RBS, Bank of Scotland, except it's kind of more online. You do sign up for it like a normal bank account, verifying your identity. I think it's just a video that you take, and they send you a bright orange card, which is great when you're on holiday, a bright orange card so that you don't lose it. You can also add it to your Apple Wallet, so it's just like paying for things at home but in another country, like especially in the Netherlands. So what you can do is just transfer money from your usual banking account, if you don't already use Monzo, and transfer it into your Monzo, and this way I feel like you can track your payments more. You can see exactly on your bank statement how much you spent on what, and Monzo breaks down the exchange rate for you. The exchange rate is meant to be a lot better for Monzo than it is if you were to go and get your euros exchanged from like Ramsden's. And I'm not saying don't not take cash, but now when I go, I don't take any cash at all, because the things that I'm doing in the Netherlands, especially going to a rave, it's just not needed, and I feel like I will lose it and be more likely to spend it. And I actually do save more money using my Monzo contactless card than I do if I was to have cash. My fourth tip is definitely flying out a day before your actual event. So I should probably take some of my own advice here, because every weekend festival I have done, Intense, Def Con, Decibel, I have flown out on the day of the event on the Friday when the festival starts, which is a horrible idea, to be honest. Intense Festival, I had a raging bladder infection. We had a flight at 6 o'clock in the morning, meaning we had to get up around maybe 3 o'clock in the morning and travel all day, and it takes a long time to get to these events. You know, we're talking like getting up at 3 in the morning, flight at 9, arrive at 10, and then because you're in Schiphol, Amsterdam airport, these festivals are in a field in the middle of nowhere, so you then have to get one train, sometimes 2 trains, which can take about 1 or 2 hours. You then have to get a shuttle bus. You've got to stand in the queue in the festival site. It takes a long time to get in. There is a lot of waiting about. It's not just like you're there and you can get into the festival and start partying. You're exhausted by the time you get to the festival gates, because you're carrying all these bags. You've got to wait in all these lines to check in. So I think when we got to Intense, it was probably 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's quite late considering even flying from Scotland, even though it's only an hour flight, you're traveling a long time. So getting to Intense, the weekend festival, at 5 o'clock that day, and then having a full weekend of a festival with no sleep, it is tough. And I didn't really learn my lesson. I did the same for Decibel and Def Con, but I wasn't unwell, so it wasn't too bad, and I was kind of knowing what to expect. But someone who's maybe travelling for a first Euro event, festival, rave, I would definitely recommend flying out a day early, because trust me, you will be more tired than you think you are. It's okay to say, oh my god, I'll be fine, but when you're out doing it, it's like, I really wish I did this. It will be less stressful. Also as well, if you're doing a weekend festival and you do fly out a day early, it means that you can also go to a supermarket and load up on food, fizzy juice, water and alcohol to take into the festival. When you look on the festival website that you're booking with, they will have information on what you can and cannot bring into these events. So for example, you might not be able to bring in disposable barbecues. You can bring in alcohol, but it cannot be in glass bottles, cans, plastic is allowed, and it has to be under a certain percentage, and also limited to how much litres you can bring in as well. I think for fizzy juice for DEF CON this year was 4.5 litres, and alcohol was the same, and as long as it was under a certain percentage, I'm not sure. So essentially you can't take in a bottle of vodka, but there's ways around that, and that's some advice for another video on how you can sneak drink in. But 9 times out of 10, they do not check your case. They cannot be bothered checking everybody's cases. Think of how much stuff people are bringing in. If you're doing the comfort camping, especially at DEF CON, they really do check your case, but we went through the regular entrance and the guy was just like, saw the amount of bags we had and he was like, on you go. But Intense, they really searched our bags to the point where one of our friends had a full bottle of Dior Sauvage perfume, and they made him bin it because it was glass. So even things like that, glass on your perfume bottle, you need to be careful. It's same with deodorants, spray deodorants, you're not allowed anything like that. So even just going out a day early to get a nice big food shop before you go will help you save so much money. You won't have to be whipping that Monzo card out. My 5th tip is definitely bringing lots of portable chargers. There's nothing worse when you're trying to film a set and you run out of battery and you're gubbed. Some packages do have electricity, but I would still recommend bringing portable chargers. Sorry guys, kind of had to change the angle here because my SD card's running out of storage. Story of my life, honestly. I'm still trying to get used to cameras and storages and things and how to go about it, and my camera's about to run out of battery. This is not going well. Anyway, but my 6th best tip is basically packing as light as you can. You're on a flight for a long time, you're lugging things around and it's not fun, and usually if it's your first event you will overpack. I mean, I overpack so bad, so just try and organise your outfits beforehand, like an outfit for Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Doing that's probably your best bet. It means it'll cut down on the amount of clothes that you're bringing, and just bring in bare minimum makeup, and I can guarantee you when it gets to Sunday you're going to be like, I cannot be bothered wearing any makeup. Number 7 is definitely know your limits. It's so easy to drink more because you're on holiday, you're with your friends, it's a bad influence, you're going to try things that you don't usually try, and that can be very dangerous. As fun as it might be and funny to look back on, at the same time it's very dangerous. You're in another country, and don't be scared to seek out medical assistance. They're trained to be non-judgmental, and it's better that you're checked out safely rather than being sent home in a body bag. And I know that sounds so serious, but it happens all the time at these events. I think there was a girl that died at Rebellion not that long ago, a week before Climax. So that was pretty heartbreaking, to be honest, and it just shows you how serious it is. And please seek out assistance if anything like that does happen, and look after your friends. The number 8 is kind of tying all in with general health. So please drink lots of water, stay hydrated, eat, and please sleep. Like, you're not indestructible. Humans are meant to sleep. Every festival I've been to, I have been in my bed by midnight, sleep as much as I can, and get up at 8 o'clock, I get showered, I eat breakfast, and I do that because usually these festivals, they have so much going on during the day. At DEF CON, things were starting at 11 o'clock. There was speedcore, daytime, musical chairs, the Lilos, there was like loads of DJ sets already starting. And to me, I hate sitting in a tent at night, staying up all night with your friends in a dark tent, and then sleeping until 3 o'clock in the afternoon the next day, missing all these events. So personally, to me, that's not something that I like doing, and I think it's so much more worth it if you do rest, because it makes the experience more memorable. You do a lot more and you're not indestructible. I mean, you need to eat, and I hate feeling awful, and I'll just try and do anything that I can to prevent that. So definitely, I mean, you're human, guys. Please eat, take rest when you can, and do sleep. At least a couple hours sleep, you know. Number 10, I would say, is try and be really respectful of all the cultures and people that are there. At these festivals, you've got people flying in from all different kinds of countries. Their norms, values and beliefs are going to be different from yours. and it can be very easy to be like, oh my god, why are they acting like that? Or maybe they might start a fight with you, and it's just not worth it. It really isn't. And number 10, don't be scared to make friends. And I know that sounds so cringy and things like that, but when you make friends at these events, you're meeting people that are like-minded like you, who like going to these events, and you could potentially book with these people in the future. That's such a nice thing. And sometimes trying to convince your friends that you have at home, school friends, people you've grown up with, like people you go on nights out with in your regular home country, and you're trying to convince them to come to these big events with you, it can prove very difficult, and sometimes it's just not worth it because it might not be their thing. And trying to organise with people that aren't really keen to go can be a bit of a nightmare. They pull out last minute, they don't want to put the payment down, they don't want to save their money. So sometimes it just takes going to this event to meet people who are like you and are also looking for other people to book with. And this is like exactly what's happened to us when we went to Intense Festival. We were camped next to Irish people. I was quite unwell at the time, so I wasn't too keen on socialising. But my friends there, we made really good friends with the Irish people, and every single event, we've pretty much met up with them there, and to the point where they're coming to Scotland for New Year's Eve. I'm going to do a massive New Year's Eve vlog. I cannot wait. Hopefully you'll get to see some of them in the video. And I just think it's beautiful when you make friends at these events because you're making memories and you can tell just how passionate they are, and you're also as passionate, and you just know that they get it. You know, they understand the scene, they understand the dedication that you do when you fly to and from these events all the time. So definitely just bite the bullet, go to the event, and I swear you will find people that love the events just as much as you do. But yeah, this is probably the main bulk of the advice that I could give to anyone that's possibly going to an abroad rave for the first time, or has maybe only gone to a few and is looking for more extra advice and helpful tips. I'm definitely not an expert in the matter. I definitely have learned through trial and error. So I'm just trying to give my helpful tips and advice to you guys that are maybe wanting to know more. And just for those that have messaged me about it, I can just copy and paste the link to this video, and hopefully this will give you some good tips. Hopefully I'm going to have more YouTube content up soon. I feel a little bit awkies filming on a camera, not gonna lie. I'm still trying to get used to the lighting, powering the batteries, storage, man. The whole thing is just a headache and it stresses me out. But I've got a nice camera and I hope to take it to events with me. So if you see me with my camera, come and say hey, cause like I feel awkward with it anyway, and we can maybe get a wee video and a wee dance. That's if my battery's not already dead and I still have storage. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in my next vlog. Make sure to like and subscribe. Bye! Imagination.